Most of you have judged the Pope without ever reading a document.
Well, yeah, because the Bible tells us to judge righteously, and we're judging righteously. Yeah, too bad. You're going to see these priests melt down, and the liberals are melting down. They're acting like MAGA is so freaked out about the Pope. No, the Pope really has no influence here. I mean, well, he does, but that's been fading for the past 8 years. So, some things that I don't, if the media wasn't in the camp with protecting the Catholic Church, and they are, unfortunately, then they would have told you that, so in 2017, it had come out that in Australia, from 1951 to 2010, by the time this investigation looking at the Catholic Church and the sexual abuse to children was done, they, by the time it was done, that time frame, 1951 to 2010, it was determined that 7 out of 10 priests had sexually molested children. That's deliberate. Come on, it's deliberate. It means they're putting people in there they know that are going to do it, okay? Then, around that, France also had done an investigation around the same time period. It may have been like 1950 to 2012 or something, but I think it was around the same time frame. And by the time their investigation was done, it was 330,000 children that had been sexually abused by Catholic clergy. So just at the Catholic. So that one I do think they reported. I don't know if they reported on the one in Australia, but yeah. So that's not the only place. It's been going on all over. And usually nobody can do anything because they created that hierarchy to protect them. So the church was created to go after to go after true Christians. Jesus said it would happen. So and that's when you have a 7 out of 10 priest that sexually abused children in that massive time frame, 1950 to 2010. That's common sense. It's deliberate. It means they're putting in people that they know will do it. And then it also means that, I don't know how these people find each other, the pedophiles getting with other, I'm not sure, I guess the dark web. But the priests become priests so that they can do that. The other thing to take notice of is because the liberals think MAGA's melting down, and it's like, because I came across this lawyer, I got to block him. He's like a Harry Sisson, but he's older, and he's some lawyer out of San Francisco. He's just a nasty dude. And, he gets paid to do this, but when I came across this scroll, he's like, oh, Steve Bannon's threatening the Pope. Well, good. Somebody should. That place should have been being threatened a long time ago. Okay, I screw their sovereign immunity. Like when you start using faith, and not because you're trying to deliver it, but you're using it to actually go into countries and then persecute their people. No, that's messed up, and that's what's happened. That's why there's been but again, it's the former Roman Empire, and look at what they did to Jesus. They were known for torturous tactics, which, if you look into the Inquisition, the kind of torturous things they did were. But who they did it to were Christians. Now, they hide and say, no, we're Christian. No, they're not. That's why they're Catholic. Yeah. They just claim that they're Christians. That's why and their whole thing about, Peter's establishing the first church. Yeah, no, so when you look into that, what you find out is they built a church on top of where they think Peter once did some spreading of the word. That's it. That's what there are. So it's just a bunch of lies. All of it is lies. And why? Well, because the crafty one is that crafty. And it was created to attack Christians, most especially children. So it's been deliberate. So, but they're being uncovered. So then you're going to see these priests and these bishops. They're like, holy shit, what are we going to do? God's pushing them in a corner. So while that's going on, while you have, because I think, was it Australia? No, it was France. Their priest said they will report the child abuse. They said they would. They did. So they seem to have maybe cleaned up their act, or maybe but I think in order to clean up your act, you'd have to almost separate from the Vatican. The very fact that the Vatican created its own government, and the hierarchy's bad enough, but it has its own government structure. So it's like, then we have all these Catholic churches here, and it claims, oh, it's about Christianity, but they're their entire own government structure. That's why you now have these priests saying that no, they're going to follow what the Vatican says. Yeah, we can't be having that kind of stuff. So that, to me, it's almost like you came in under the guise that it's about, you're sharing your faith, and it's just like what the Puritans and the Protestants, they knew as soon as they saw the Catholic come in here, the Catholic they were like, oh no, we know what they're up to. So yes, I don't know but God's bankrupting them. A ton of the dioceses have filed for bankruptcy because of all of the lawsuits and all of the settlements, and here and elsewhere. But it's been deliberate. So you're going to see these priests, because they're stressing now, really, because most of them are likely, I mean, there was a time I would have thought, oh, well, they're not all like that. I think obviously there's maybe a few that, but, that truly go into it for the faith. I think that most don't. And I think the ones the Vatican puts places, they make sure to get people that are going to abuse, because their history is all about abusing Christians and Jews. So, you'll see more of this meltdown, because this is, they've had this role that we're in charge, because they see themselves as higher than governments. They do, because they claim that no, they're instituted by God. No, not the biblical God, not the Vatican. No, because they would have done things according to the Bible, and they didn't, especially with their hierarchy. But that's how false it is. So, it's interesting to watch the liberals freak out while they say MAGA's freaking out. It's like, no, the Pope doesn't have any the only influence he has is his little lobby base and his in his churches. But there, anybody that's still in those churches that is truly a person that's about the word of Christ, are either older people, in my opinion, that don't go on social media, so they only know what the news tells them, and they don't know about how bad the child abuse problem is, or else that's it. Or the rest of the people, they're there because they're like the Bidens and the Nancy Pelosi's. They claim Christian, but they're really not, which is why they go into the Christian church and they uphold it so much, which is why the media does. They all serve the same role, and what they all serve is the wicked one.